He made the promise on a night he would never forget. He believed if he worked hard enough, he could save them all. But by the time he understood what poverty really takes from a family, it was already too late. This boy was born into a life where hunger felt normal. He didn't remember the first time he was hungry. Not because it never happened, but because it happened so often, it stopped feeling like something worth remembering. Hunger wasn't an emergency in their house, it was routine. Some mornings, his stomach would ache before his eyes even opened. Other mornings, the pain was already there when he fell asleep. The house he grew up in was small, not the kind of small that felt cozy. The kind of small that reminded you every day of what you didn't have. The walls were cracked, the roof leaked when it rained. At night, the wind slipped through the broken parts like it belonged there. He shared one room with his siblings. They slept close together, not because they wanted to, but because warmth was something they had to borrow from each other. His parents tried. That's something people don't always understand. They weren't careless, they weren't lazy, they were just tired. His father worked whenever work appeared. Some days that meant long hours carrying loads heavier than his body should handle. Other days it meant sitting and waiting, hoping someone would need him. His mother stretched everything: food, clothes, hope. She learned how to turn very little into just enough, and when there wasn't enough, she learned how to smile anyway. As a child, he noticed things he couldn't explain, like how his parents always said they weren't hungry, even when their hands shook from weakness. Like how his mother would eat last, or not at all. Like how arguments only happened late at night, when they thought the children were asleep. He learned early that silence could mean many things. Love, fear, shame. School was not an escape. It was a reminder. Other children brought food, clean clothes, shoes that didn't open at the toes. He learned how to sit still when his stomach growled. How to laugh when classmates joked about things he had never tasted. How to avoid eye contact when teachers asked for fees his parents couldn't afford. Sometimes he stayed home, not because he was sick, but because it was easier to disappear than to explain. At night, he would listen to his parents talk in low voices. About money, about debts, about tomorrow. Those conversations always ended the same way. With silence. As he grew older, he started to understand something painful. Love was not enough. No matter how much his parents cared, no matter how hard they tried, poverty did not listen. It took slowly. Then all at once, one of his siblings fell ill first. At first, it seemed small. A cough, fever, weakness. They said it would pass. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into fear. Medicine cost money they didn't have. Hospitals asked questions his parents couldn't answer. He watched his parents choose between food and treatment. Between today and tomorrow. He felt useless. Too young to help, too aware to ignore it. That was when the promise began to form. Not spoken yet, but growing. He started working early. Small jobs, anything that paid. He believed effort was the solution. That suffering existed because no one had worked hard enough. He thought if he pushed himself far enough, something would change. There were nights he came home exhausted, hands sore, feet aching, only to find nothing had improved. The house was still broken. The hunger still present, the fear still heavy. But he kept going, because stopping felt worse. The night everything changed was quiet, too quiet. His siblings' breathing had become shallow. His mother sat beside the bed, holding a hand that felt too light. He stood in the doorway, unsure what to do. No one cried yet. They were all waiting for something. A miracle, a sign, time. That was the night he made the promise, not out loud, but deep enough that it would follow him forever. He promised he would save them, that this life would not be their ending, that poverty would not win. He believed it with everything he had. But belief does not move fast enough when time is running out. By the time help came, it didn't matter anymore. Loss does not arrive loudly, it settles. The house felt different after. Quieter, heavier. No one knew how to talk about it, so they didn't. His parents aged in ways years could not explain. His mother's smile disappeared first. His father's voice followed. He blamed himself. Not because anyone said it was his fault, but because he had promised. And a promise unkept feels like failure. From that day, he stopped being a child. School became optional. Work became everything. He pushed harder, ignored pain, ignored exhaustion. He didn't allow himself to rest, because rest felt like betrayal. Friends faded, laughter disappeared. All that mattered was escape. He told himself, just a little longer, just a little more work, then it will be worth it. But poverty is patient, it doesn't rush. It waits for you to break yourself trying to outrun it. Years passed. The family survived. But they were not the same. Illness returned in different forms. Debt replaced grief. Hope became quieter. He began to understand something painful. You can love people deeply and still be unable to save them. That realization did not bring peace. It brought emptiness. He had spent so long chasing a future where everyone would be okay, that he forgot to live in the present they were stuck in. One night, alone, he finally asked himself a question he had avoided for years. What if the promise was never meant to be kept? Not because he was weak, but because some battles cannot be won by one person. The answer didn't comfort him, but it freed him. He stopped measuring his worth by outcomes he could not control, stopped punishing himself for surviving. He still carries the promise, but differently now, not as guilt, not as a burden, as memory, as proof that he loved deeply, even when love wasn't enough. Some people escape poverty, others carry it with them forever. He learned that survival does not always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like endurance. Sometimes it looks like remembering. Sometimes it looks like continuing, even after too late has already arrived. He never forgot that night, and he never forgot the promise. But he learned something harder than hope, that saving a family isn't always about changing their lives. Sometimes it's about refusing to forget them.